Hi folks, I'm Dan Payne, and this is Web Accessibility for Business Owners. In this video, we'll talk a little about accessibility overlays. Let's get started. Accessibility overlays augment your site to try to make it more accessible, some claiming to make your site 100% compliant with regulations. They're usually sold as a bit of code that you copy and paste into your website's code, and that's it. Just one little snippet of code will fix you right up. Sounds great, right? Well, it's not that simple. So when a web page loads, it doesn't happen all at once. There's a sequence of tasks that have to happen to render this block, fetch that image, etc. Overlays scan through the code of your page, looking for the most common issues that they can fix. And then once all the loading tasks are done, they apply adjustments to try to shift things into place in a way that makes them more accessible. There are two types of overlays, ones that are intended for temporary use while a site is being fixed, and ones that claim to be permanent solutions. Now that first type are perfectly fine, and they're developed and used by some of the biggest and most reputable accessibility companies. They're just used as a band-aid while the deeper fixes are in progress. The problem is with the companies that say you can use their overlay to permanently make your site compliant with no further work than just installing the overlay. There is no automatic solution that will permanently make your website 100% compliant. Artificial intelligence has come a long way, but in my opinion, it will never be able to replace human judgment for some things. I'll go into more detail on some of these in future videos, but just to name a few. Logical reading order. Is the page content arranged and navigable in a way that makes sense? Do error messages make sense and clearly tell the user how to fix whatever went wrong? Do images include alternative text that properly describes the author's intent in using those images? Describing what's in an image is one thing, but does that description adequately express the intended impact of using that image in that context? And there are many, many more examples. In fact, developers know that the many tools we use to automatically test websites for accessibility are thought to only catch about 30% of errors. Now, DQ Systems did a study recently on their Axe tool, and they say it finds 57% of errors. That's great, but it still means that despite their best efforts over many years to develop their tool, they still can't detect 43% of errors. Nowhere near the 100% that's implied by the full compliance these overlay companies claim. So how do you recognize these overlays and the folks who are selling them? You'll typically see some sort of floating icon at the edge of a page that pops an adjustment panel or the like. Now, these may be impressive to someone unfamiliar with the ways that people with disabilities use assistive technologies to interact with the web, but to real users, these tools just get in the way, and they actually make things worse. Here's a little video that Adrian Rosselli posted to Twitter. He's an accessibility guru and anti-overlay champion. He's showing that the keyboard navigation feature of the EqualWeb overlay doesn't even work on their own site. He's using the tab key to try to navigate, but is having all kinds of problems. For a keyboard user, it's critical that the currently focused element be clearly emphasized. Also, keyboard traps like the pop-up at the lower left make it impossible to navigate the rest of the page if you get stuck there. This is just one example of one overlay, but there are many more out there. In a recent survey by WebAIM, a top nonprofit research organization, 72% of respondents with disabilities rated these overlays as not very effective or not effective at all. More than 500 accessibility professionals like myself have signed the overlay fact sheet at overlayfactsheet.com. It's a great place to get more information than I have time to cover here, and has tons of links to even more info, including stories from real users. It's a really great resource, and I encourage you all to check it out. Again, that's overlayfactsheet.com. So these things are not a permanent solution, though they're being sold that way, and they're just making things worse for the people they say they're intending to help. On top of all of this, their very aggressive marketing is everywhere. If you Google anything related to accessibility, notice paid ads that pop up every time. They are heavily funded and spending tons in marketing and just steamrolling their way through the accessibility space. It's really hard not to view the makers of accessibility overlays as being anything but unscrupulous, dangerous, greedy profiteers. They know there's a vast need for accessibility solutions. They know more website accessibility lawsuits are being filed every year, so there's pressure from that rock. They know most people have never heard of web accessibility, so the lack of technical knowledge is the hard place. So they know under those circumstances, between a rock and a hard place, people will gladly hand over their money for what they are being told is a quick and easy solution. It's snake oil. So now you know what accessibility overlays are, why they're so bad for accessibility, and how to spot them. I've also shown you how you can find out more information about them, and please, please, please warn your fellow business owners too. Okay, so as I already mentioned, my next video will be a quick discussion of guidelines, specifications, and regulations for web accessibility. I hope you'll stick around for that. Cheers.